Welcome to episode 17 of PokeClass. Before I start, I just want to apologise for not getting an episode up last Saturday, as we managed to make last minute plans to get to another cities, which I'll be reporting on later. First up though, I'll cover the happenings over the past 2 weeks of Pokemon. The past 2 weeks haven't seen a lot of news now that Cities is over in America, but over here Cities are still going strong until the end of January. In the meantime, we've had some new news about Call of Legends in the way that we are getting a promotional box called the World of Illusions, and it looks like this. This box is based around the same idea as the recent Clash of Legends boxes that hit the shelves. The World of Illusions box will feature 3 booster packs from sets yet to be confirmed, along with the Celebi Prime featured in our Triumphant set. The Prime featured could be better, but the Prime is a Prime. The box also comes with an oversized holographic promo card, which features Zoroark and other legends. This card was previously a card from the Japanese movie sets celebrating the 13th anime film. Along with this came the mention of some more information about the black and white collector's tins mentioned in the last episode. Thanks to this image courtesy of PokeBeach, we now have images of what the newest release tins will look like, along with the new figures included with the tins. I think they look a lot better than the recent tins we've had with their simple designs. The promos could be better, but at least you get 4 packs, which is always good. These tins are due for release around the end of February, so make sure you keep your eye out for them. That's pretty much it for the news this week, so on to a new addition to the show. This part of the episode is going to be the start of a new series of articles about the financial side of playing the Pokemon trading card game called Money Matters. Playing Pokemon is a fun way to meet new people and get involved with other people with the same interests, but building competitive decks can sometimes be tricky when the cards rise in price as the year goes on. With this series, I'm going to cover how to get the cards you need, the price of current decks and what's cheapest, along with general hints and tips of managing your spending on the game. In this part, I'm going to be going over some tips about how to build up a competitive collection of cards for building various decks. These are all methods that we use on a regular basis and has led to us building up a huge collection of competitive cards, so these methods do work. The first tip is to get involved in online trading. Like me, if you don't have access to a local league, then there won't be much chance for you to trade with fellow players. Fortunately, there's another method of trading cards that can help you to get the cards you need. Most of you probably use forums such as PokeGym and PokeBeach, and within these sites are places where you can trade online. Simply put, you type up the list of cards that you own and are willing to trade, and then say what you're looking for. Then you just wait for replies, just like trading in person. Trades work on a feedback system from previous trades, and you build up your reputation so that you can become a trusted trader. This method is one of the best ways to get the cards you need for your deck, no matter what country you're in. Any rare cards that you aren't going to use may be just what someone else is looking for. The second tip is to buy single cards instead of boosters. We're all guilty of buying too many boosters when we see them in shops. We are both certainly bad culprits of this, and your spending on boosters can become quite high. In reality, if you buy a booster pack from a set that you need a card from, the chances that you pull that card are actually quite slim. However, if you're just starting out, boosters are great to buy as you can start building up some rarer cards for trades. Considering that booster packs in the UK can cost up to around £3.50, this money can be spent more wisely on buying single cards. There are many sites that sell single copies of cards such as Troll and Toad, Pokeorder, Professor Oak, and for the UK a great site is the Card Seller. Buying single cards you need for your deck is a great way to build up your deck collection of staple cards, and if you can't find the cards that you're after, then go for the trade method to get the rest. Tip number 3 is selling your cards. This may only apply to masters that have access to an eBay account. I've recently found that selling cards is a great way to fuel your spending on Pokemon cards. It's especially useful when you need to buy single cards from other sites. Rare cards such as the legend cards from the Heart Gold Soul Silver sets tend to be valued quite highly for collectors rather than players. This makes them perfect for putting on a site such as eBay so that people can buy them from you if you don't want to trade them. I've done this many times, and it's another great way to recycle your rare pulls from packs or trades so that you can get money for cards you really need. If you don't have access to an eBay account, then the forums mentioned earlier also have places where you can sell cards to other members of the forum, as well as having the option to request cards that you can buy. This makes it easier to find cards that you need from fellow Pokemon players. My final tip is to get to know regulars. The more you go to tournaments, the more people you're going to meet. If you've had a good collection of rare cards that you don't really need for your decks, a great idea is to get a smaller binder like this to take to events with you. When you're at tournaments, get to know the people around and the people you're paired against by asking about how they're doing so far and see if they have any trades with them. This may not apply in a big country like America, but in the UK, most tournaments in the country are attended by the same main group of people. Getting to know these people means that you'll always know people when attending an event and can get many trades together each time you meet up. As well as being able to trade with them, people will sometimes offer to lend you certain cards for tournaments that both of you are attending. This is a great method of getting cards you need which are really expensive, such as Luxray Level X and Uxie Level X. These are just a few pointers as to how to get the cards that you need for decks you want to take to events. If you're just starting out, a collection takes a long time to create. With a combination of boosters, single cards, and trades, you'll eventually accumulate a decent collection of cards, where you can just build decks as you please to take to tournaments. Some tier 1 decks, like Luxchomp, take time to complete and become really expensive. My Luxchomp deck has taken me since September to finally complete, just last week, so don't worry if you're finding it hard to get a collection going, as many people on the internet and in person are out there to help you. So that was part 1 of my Money Matters articles. I hope you've learned something about the best way to acquire the cards that you need for your competitive decks, and if you ever need some help in building up your collections, drop me a message and I'll see if there's any way I can help you out. Make sure you check out future episodes for the next parts. As you now know, last Saturday, me and Jem both made our way down to Nottingham for their City Championships event. We went there before for a Battle Roads where I got second, but today was going to be much more competitive and the turnout was pretty big for a UK tournament. We ended up having 5 rounds of best of 3 with a top 8 cut at the end. For Nationals last year, we only had a top 16, so top 8 is great for this size of tournament. I'm playing a variant of BLG, and Jem chose to play Machamp, with both Machamp Stormfront and the Prime. So round 1 I was paired against someone who I've met a few times before, and she plays a tough deck to take down. She plays a deck featuring Drapion Level X and Tyranitar. Tyranitar itself has a really high HP, with a good range of attacks, which can spread for multiple KOs in a single turn. Drapion Level X also has a pretty good poker power, which can poison you with a single flip of heads. This adds key damage, and adds 3 damage between turns, rather than the traditional 1. Game 1, I think I started with Uxie to her Sableye. She goes first, benches Skorupi, impersonates a collector, and starts to set up. My turn, I draw, and I have a handful of Poker Turn and Power Spray with a single call energy. So I have no choice but to attach the call and grab a Luxray and Garchomp. Her next turn flies by as she plays down Broken Time Space, Rare Candies into Tyranitar, evolves into Drapion, uses level max and flips heads to get Drapion Level X, and evolves her Houndour to Houndoom. This is the fastest turn of setting up I've ever seen, and I lose the first game shortly after as she rolls through me with Tyranitar and multiple heads flips on Drapion and Houndoom. Game 2 went until time, with us taking prizes back and forth. At one point, I time walk to find all 3 of my Level X's prized. I get Luxray X out and I use Bright Look paired with Flash Impact for KOs before she evolves. Time is called and she takes a prize her turn. This leaves me needing to take a prize to stay in the game. I manage to Dragon Rush and have the final turn after hers to win. She manages to promote Drapion and uses Scorpion Grapple to paralyze me. I can't find the Poker Turn the next turn, and without being able to attack, I end up losing round 1. So that's not a great start to the tournament, but we have a top 8 cut, so I don't feel too bad. Round 2 was against a guy playing a theme deck, with a few additions thrown in I think. I don't get to see most of his deck as I take 6 prizes in 6 turns to take the first game. Second game, he actually donks my unknown Q start with his Uxie, and in the third game, I'm about to take my 3rd prize when time is called, so I managed to bring my record to 1-1. After our lunch break, we get down to our 3rd round. This time I get paired with a cool guy from Poker Gym, and he's playing Dialgachomp. First game, I open up with double Blaziken, which is great, until he flips over Empoleon FB. I manage to work around it for a few turns, but he gets out the Dragon Rush on my bench Blaziken first, and proceeds to KO my active Blaziken with Empoleon FB for the donk. Not good. Second game, I start with Ambipom and start to tailcode his important double colourless around and set up a Garchomp on the bench. I think all he can get out is a regular Garchomp C, which I KO with Blaziken Level X I'd been setting up on the bench. From then on, I went through all of his Uxies and Azelf with Jet Shoot to take the game. Game 3 went much smoother, with me taking the early Garchomp snipes on his powered up but regular Garchomps. This gives me the advantage as I get 3 of his energy gains into the discard pile fairly quickly. This leaves him with a Dialga on the bench with an Uxie left active, so I proceed to Bright Look his Dialga to KO with Blaziken level X. From then on, I keep up with Dragon Rushing until time is called. This puts me at 2-1, so I'm feeling better about my bad luck during the first match, thinking that I can still get to top cut. Round 4, I was against a guy playing Yanmega from Stormfront, paired with Shaman level X. At first, I think that having Blaziken will give me the type advantage for this game, but I soon find out that Yanmega is actually weak to Lightning, which isn't too bad for Luxray when paired with Lucario GL. We play a full 45-minute game for this one, and it goes down to the wire. We both start taking quick prizes, with me tailcoding as much energy as I can to his damaged Sableye and KO it with Crobat drops, when I figure out how his deck worked. I found out fairly quickly that it uses a high energy count to get energy onto Yanmega with its power. He paired this with the Shaman Seed Flare support and used Engineer's Adjustment to get the energy into the discard in the first place. All in all, it was a very well built deck and it set up quickly. I didn't draw into supporter for at least 4 turns in this game, which slowed down my initial efforts to get set up before him. By the time I started getting a decent attack force going, he'd already set up and was drawing more and more energy. By the end of the game, we both had a single prize left and I was on turn 2 of the extra turns. At this point, he had a hand size of 30 plus, so I know he'll win next turn. Unfortunately, I thought I had the win the turn before, but he drops 2 defenders to save himself from the KO. This means I need to do 100 damage to KO his damaged Yanmega, which doesn't happen, and he uses Shaman level X to knock out my Luxray for his final prize. This was a really good game, and it was great seeing a rogue deck working so well. So this puts me at 2-2, which won't make top cut, but at least I'm having a good time meeting various people and playing the game, which is what it's all about. Last round is against a guy called Ollie I met at the beginning of the tournament, and is a big fan of PokeClass. So we both shake hands and have the best game I play of the day. He's playing Dialga Chomp, which is my second of the tournament. He starts Dialga and I start Ambipom again with a Garchomp on the bench. I think I'll go first and call for another Garchomp and Blaziken. He goes for his turn but cannot get the Deafen Lock on me, which is great because I yet again have another handful of trainers. I proceed on my turn to try and get a Blaziken level X out but can't get the energy gain to get the KO. So I Luring Flame his Bronzong as I know he doesn't have a Cyrus yet. So he starts to set up his Dialga and plays the Poke Turn that he had in his hand. He sends up some things to get KO'd by my Garchomp and then promotes his Dialga, levels up, attaches Expert Belt and starts using Remove Lost to Lost Zone my energy by hitting a fair few heads. This puts it at 2-1 prizes in his favour near the end of the game. With him having a fully powered Dialga, it's not looking good. I think I managed to get a key snipe on Ambipom on the bench to save the revenge KO, but on the next turn, he Cyruses for a Poke Turn, benches Dragonite, picks up Dialga, promotes Dragonite, attaches double colourless and energy gain, and that's game. Second game, I managed to take control with a double Garchomp start, along with getting a key Ambipom revenge KO when his only Garchomp X in play. This gets me just a single prize ahead before time is called, and it's down to sudden death to decide the round. In sudden death, I managed to start with the worst 2 starters in my deck, double Uxie. He starts with Smeargle and Portraits after I call for double Garchomp. He manages to grab a double Cyrus that turn after portraiting mine, and that gives him all the pieces he needs to get a Dragon Rush the next turn. I do my best and have double colourless and energy gain in hand. I attach them to my Garchomp, and all I need to do is get Uxie out of the active spot to KO the Garchomp he left active for the game. I go for the only out I have and use Pont to find the unknown Q. This doesn't pay off and he grabs the Dragon Rush the next turn. So I end on 2-3, which is another negative finish, but I had a great day and met some great people that I hope to come across again in future tournaments. I just want to thank Chimera for another great event and everyone who recognised me for being really positive about what I do. Hope to meet more of you at more events. Gem also ended up going 2-3 with her Machamp in some very close matches. So that's my cities report. Tomorrow is our last cities and it's in Dunstable, so if you're going, message me and I'll hopefully meet you there. I'm running a much more conventional list next time, as the past 2 tournaments have been a bit too experimental. Let's hope I finish positive next time. This brings me on to the new feature that I mentioned in the last episode, Deck Surgery. I've had over 30 messages including some great lists, so I just want to thank you all for cooperating and to continue to send in your great decks. Today, since this is a long episode, I've only selected 2 decks to analyse today. The first is a user called Dark Paladin Duelist, and the deck is called Lux Trick, which features Luxray from Legends Awakened and Manectric from Platinum. This is the list that he gave me. My first thoughts is that it looks like a pretty good list, and may fare well in an SP heavy metagame, as Luxray's Rivalry Pokebody will add the damage you need to one-hit KO Garchomp and Luxray level X when you have Expert Belt attached. Here's some changes that I would make. First, I would take out the Pokedraw Plus to make room for more copies of cards that you already have. Pokedraw is a great card, but putting in more copies of cards that you need will be more effective. This gives you 4 extra spaces which you can fill in with 2 more Broken Time Space and maybe 2 more Poketurn or Rare Candy. Adding more Rare Candy will help your setup and recovery, and more Poketurn will mean that you can add much more damage with Crobat G for key KOs. I would also suggest taking out Sage's Training, as you ideally don't want to be discarding 3 cards which you may need later on. To fill this space, you could add in what you didn't from Rare Candy or Poketurn, or you could add in 2 Ponts to keep more consistency. Another card that could be useful when protecting your bench with Manectric is Bench Shield. Attaching Bench Shield to Manectric will mean that your entire bench is safe from snipes from Garchomp and other cards. Other than that, I like the idea of Lantern Prime to counter Donphan by using its poke power, and that's a really good idea. Also, if you can find the space, add in 1 more Luxray to make a 4-3-4 line. This means that having 4 Shinx will make a much better choice. If anyone else can give any more advice, then put some comments in the section below. Thanks for sending me your list, and I hope I helped. This next list was submitted by someone called William that we met at Cities. He was playing SP, but is changing over to Nidoking, Nidoqueen, and here is the list he gave me. This strikes me as a very interesting list, as most people go with Spiritomb as a starter, but I'll suggest some changes to fit in your build. First, I like the way you've approached it. The first thing I noticed was the 4th Uxie. This isn't a great play, because you're going to need bench space for Nidoqueens to get the extra HP onto Nidoking. Seeing as you run Seeker, maybe 2 will be okay, as you can reuse them, but 3 can still work with your ability to pick up the used ones with Seeker, saving your bench space. You have certainly accounted for coming across Dialga G with your Machamp line. I really like this idea, as it can bide you time against SP if you can get it out quick enough, while you attach energy to Nidoking. Choosing a Nidoran female is tricky, as the one from Triumphant has a great search for basic Pokémon, but can be donked easily by Uxie. On the other hand, the one from Rising Rivals can search out supporters and is harder to donk. Bearing this in mind, I'd personally go with the Rising Rival ones, but that would be my personal choice. Chansey is also a good idea, but I think you should either choose between the Machamp line or the Chansey line, as having both may make the deck a bit too clunky. As for trainers and supporters, if you take out Chansey, you could fit in Pont for extra hand refresh. A 3rd Collector is also great for starting with, and maybe try to fit in Broken Time Space up to 4. This will give you the best chance of drawing into one early game. Poke Healer is a great asset to Nidoking's ability to tank when paired with Nidoqueen, so I think you made a good choice. I hope this helps with your list, and I hope to meet you at a future tournament. If you feel the list is too slow against other decks, try going down the Spiritomb path to lock your opponent and have a way to evolve straight away. And again, if anyone has any other suggestions, post them in the comments. So that's it for this week's long episode. Thank you all for watching, and keep on sending in your deck lists. If you're going to Dunstable Cities, I'll see you there, and if not, I'll see you next week for another PokeClass. Thanks for watching.